The last few months have been some rough ones for LifeSim fans, haven't they? At least they were quite rough for me. As a longtime fan of life simulations such as The Sims, I've watched the whole genre slowly being stripped out piece by piece. Until now, where it seems like there's nothing left but a hollow shell. A space that was once known for its player freedom, diversity, and inclusivity nowadays seems to be known much more for its greed, microtransactions, and AI-filled slop. But how did this beloved genre degenerate in such a short period of time? Why do so many people in the community treat a small indie game like a long-awaited savior? And what does this all actually say about the state of LifeSims as a whole? We'll discuss this and much more in today's video. So buckle up, grab your favorite overpriced Sims DLC, and let's dive right in. Now, you can't discuss life simulation games without acknowledging the big green elephant in the room: The Sims. No other game has had this much of an impact and monopoly on the genre. In the last 25 years of its existence, the franchise has been criticized on many occasions. Predatory monetization practices and buggy gameplay have been a staple of the franchise for as long as I can remember. But nothing, and I repeat, nothing, comes close to the sheer amount of criticism and boycott The Sims 4 has been facing in the last few months. More precisely, it was the announcement of the EA buyout last September that really brought everything to a boiling point. Not only will EA and subsequently The Sims be owned by the Saudi government, which is notoriously known for its human rights abusements, but by going private and taking on a $20 billion debt, EA and The Sims will focus on much more aggressive monetization. Partially already visible by the launch of The Sims Marketplace, as well as the threat of massive layoffs and talks about wanting to integrate even more AI into the different development cycles. All while the game itself stays mostly broken and unplayable for the vast majority of players. So it won't come as a surprise that many players, including myself, even before the announcement of the buyout, started to look for alternatives. And oh boy, did we find them. The first big alternative that came around the corner was inZOI, a game that was expected by many fans in the community to destroy The Sims entirely. With its hyper-realistic graphics, immense customization, and, you guessed it, generative AI. inZOI is basically using AI everywhere to create objects and textures, even for NPC behavior, the so-called smart ZOIs. AI is omnipresent, and it shows. The game feels like a glorified tech demo. There's no soul to be found, no passion, no love. Everything becomes even more jarring when you consider the fact that the development cycle before the early access release only was about 2 years. The game was basically conjured up out of thin air. And as it turns out, air doesn't have much of a heartbeat. No wonder that people were, to say it nicely, disappointed. The game was essentially ripped to shreds by the entire LifeSim community. So much so that the initial hype died off rather quickly. After about a year of its early access release, the game seems to have faded into irrelevancy. Turns out that cutting corners and using too much AI does not make a great game. I know, shocking. After those big disappointments, the community started to lay its eyes even more onto the upcoming indie LifeSim game Paralives. And rightfully so. The game seems like everything that The Sims and inZOI are not. Innovative, full of passion, with no microtransactions, and only a small team behind it. I myself have been a big supporter of this game and even a Patreon for many, many years. And even though the game looks promising and feels like a breath of fresh air in the stale genre, I'm actually pretty scared for it. After the recent failures of The Sims and inZOI, it seems like the expectations for this game are skyrocketing. Dare I say, somewhat delusional even. The term Sims killer has been thrown around a lot when this game gets discussed. And can we please stop saying that? No one in the right mind would expect a small indie game to completely dethrone a franchise backed by a multi-billion-dollar company and with a history of over 25 years. All that this does is just building an immense amount of pressure on the game and its developers. pressure and expectations that are so high that they are just bound to fail. And that would be a complete shame, because Paralives might just have what it takes to push the LifeSim genre forward and out of its miserable state. If only people would see it as its own thing, rather than just a substitute for something else. The fate of the LifeSim genre ultimately does not lie in the hands of any multi-billion-dollar company, nor in the hands of a small indie team. It lies in the hands of us. By managing our expectations, voting with our wallets, and supporting player-friendly behavior, we could truly make a difference and help nudge the genre into the right direction. At the end of the day, I don't want to be right about my fears. I want to be wrong. I want Paralives to succeed on its own terms, and I want us to be the community it deserves. But what do you think? Are your expectations for the future of LifeSims changing? Or are you still holding out hope for the big green plump up? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed listening to me talk about one of my favorite genres, feel free to like the video. And subscribe if you want to hear more reflections like this one. I'll see you in the next video. Take care!